Yeah, you know, they got those sextants, man. You know, the little sailor stuff. You could look at the sun. They got the protective lenses and stuff with the different colors and stuff. Hey, you know, they got all these theories about how long the sun is going to burn bright, you know. Well, you know, the reason I say that is they're not doing the timing on the sun, you know. You get it? The timing on the sun. Let me help you out. Okay, you see the sun? Now look. You see the timeline? Okay? You get it? You see the timeline? You got past, you got future, and then you got present. You see? Okay, kind of funky, you know, it's timeline stuff, you know. But anyways, listen. This is how the sun work. Okay. Now, a lot of these little scholars and you know the stupid people, not the teachers, but the stupid people. The stupid people got together and said a bunch of stupid stuff. So let's help those people out. You know, we'll give them a little bit of education. It's not their fault. They had some genetic deficiencies in their brains or something. And they couldn't figure it out. Okay, it's very simple. It's like some people said, you know, it's common sense. Okay, common sense. You ready? How come that doesn't burn out? Well, it's renewable energy. Well, they said renewable energy is not possible. You guys use a solar panel? Okay. You know, last summer I wrote a story. It says, who's going to stay behind, you know, the sun and this and that. And then, you know, who's on the platform, you know. I'll tell you the platform is up there, you know. It says, okay. And there's a lot of weird stuff up there, you know. But it's one of the weirdest things, man. I'll tell you about it, how it works, okay? Now, the reason everybody's spending so much on gasoline and stuff is because you know, that is not a renewable source of energy. You run out of that stuff, you can't run the weather machines no more. And if you can't run the weather machines no more, then guess what? You can't fix the planet. And if you can't run the weather machines no more, then, you know, salt, you know, is a catalyst, you know? And a lot of people don't get this. You know, you got places with no salt in the air and you got places with salt in the air, okay? Now, if you put salt in the water, it makes the water boil faster, right? So if you got salt right up there with the ice caps and they start melting, then you no longer have fresh water to blow around and make weather with. You get what I'm saying? So if you run out of that fuel to run those weather machines and you don't got, you know, the trees and the other natural resources set back up, it doesn't matter how long that sun's gonna burn. The planet will burn first. You get it? Salt in the air, catalyst, fire and brimstone kind of shit. Okay, now we all getting on the same page, right? Okay, so while you guys are thinking about it, you know, we could have cars driving around running on hydrogen. It's free energy. You know what happens when hydrogen explodes? They got all this computerized stuff in the car because, you know, it's retarded that we use, you know, old fuels like that. So, you know, there's a delay in the timing. So you have to retard the timing for the spark, you know, for the gasoline to burn and run the car, for the combustion engine. There's a big combustion engine up there, and I've been telling you guys all along. The engine is out there. You remember I made a big picture last year. And it says, you know, you got the carburetor here, you got this here, you got this here. Like space, you know, outer space is a multiverse. It's like one big clockwork engine kind of thing, man. You know, fifth dimensional stuff. Most people don't understand. So I'm going to tell you, this is a simple way of putting it, okay? If you burn hydrogen, it instantly ignites. There's no delay. And it's lighter than air, so it floats up naturally, okay? Now, you got H2O, and I said this and people didn't believe me. It says, you crawl on the floor in a house fire. Why? Because the oxygen is heavier than the hydrogen. And when you heat it up, the particles and the masses, they separate, and you get hydrogens burning and helping the fire, not the oxygen. Oh, man, yeah, you know, oxygen has got H2O. It's got water in it. You see what I'm saying? So the pure oxygen stays closer to the floor, and they tell you to crawl and keep away from smoke or try to get out, you know? So you don't suffocate, because pure oxygen, you're not used to it, you know, and plus there's no moisture. You're breathing dry air and it's drying your lungs out while you're crawling through the fire, you see? Okay, now we got it? Okay. Now, same principle, but with the sun. You don't want it to dry out, you see? So what do? Well, what you're looking at, okay, is something that your eyes can't see. That's a black hole. Everybody panics now and they go, holy shit, that's a black hole? He says, no, it's not a black hole like that. It's a black hole. You know, you shouldn't try to make more. You know, that's what the Spider-Man movie is about. You know, trying to make a stupid black hole. You guys don't understand how it works, and poof, your planet gets sucked into it, okay? So look, that's a black hole, okay? And what they did is they took the waters and the gases and stuff and they ignited it. Now, what happens to hydrogen and water when it burns? It turns back to water. But steam, like a big steam engine, okay? Now, the gases, it should just escape off into space. Okay? Now, gases, they have a different effect on gravity, like hydrogen will float away, right? You get rid of your hydrogen and the sun goes, okay, no more fire for you. You see? So you get your hydrogen, right? And it burns and ignites. And as the gas starts to float off, oh man, then it hits the other stuff, like water, H2O. It says, oh, so you got gas, helium, hydrogen, all this stuff. And then you got, some iron core stuff is what they were saying. But, you got gravity because of a black hole, you see? So we got this in there, super compressed, super compression, and then I got the gases around it, right? And then a gravitational pull. So when it burns, it turns back to a liquid, and the liquid falls back in on itself, and the sun keeps burning. You get it? That's why we have a sun up there. So we go, man, you gotta be kidding me. He says, well, and they count on that for energy and stuff, but there's weather machines, man. You could convert them to solar power and wind power and all kinds of stuff. But if you don't have fresh water to blow around the atmosphere with the ice caps and stuff, until you get those trees, trees, they provide shade and keep the moisture down and all that stuff and create natural weather patterns. The DARPA thing's real. I know some of these Southerners have never been up north and never seen some of that stuff, but, you can't blow fresh water around if you ain't got no fresh water. And, if you get climate change, and everything heats up, and guess what? Well, the salt water helps ignite, melt in the fresh water faster, the ice caps. Well, they need ice caps because you use that for cooling. You guys ever seen a refrigerator? Think of it as a natural, super sized, McDonald's. Go to McDonald's and say, hey, super size my cold drink, man. Put some bunch of ice cubes in it, but don't give me a snow cone. Don't overfill it with ice. Well, that's like people when they say, hey, don't overfill it with ice. It's like, okay, you got rid of all the ice caps? Well, shit, how are we going to use the cooling, man? Hey, can someone get the power back on to turn the air conditioning on? Oh, no, we ain't got no air conditioning left, man. You see what I mean? So you don't want the whole world become a desert. So he says, maybe we get people doing this Mars mission thing, get the space program going again. They learn a little more about science, and they go, oh, that's why we can't use nuclear fission for power and stuff. He said, yeah, we've got a bunch of morons running around. The only thing about nuclear fission, and that's why we're running these cars and polluting stuff and everything else, and it's just heating up the planet. So we go, if you get a little bit of education and you make it easy for them, like a Top Gun flight school or something, and you start getting relativity going, it's like, Einstein's theory of relativity. And like relativity, well, I can tell you the other part of that theory of relativity is, you need more land so people can expand and move around, They get a bigger, better gene pool of theory of relativity. You see what I'm saying? So, there's a lot of science in this stuff. And a lot of scientists work a really long time to get this stuff working, And then some of it's starting to come together and make sense now, and people are like, man, that's pretty cool. I'm going to do this thing. And it makes the old people really happy because they didn't have all the technology and stuff, because they shut all that stuff down because they want people blowing up the planet, So, now they're like, man, all these old people had to suffer and go through all that stuff so everybody can have all this cool stuff these days? And they said, yeah. You imagine those old people sitting there, man, we worked for like, 20 years, 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, our other families, they work for like 1,000 years for that stuff, man. And now they just throwing it all away, So the old people are looking at it, man, you gotta be kidding me. He says, well, that's why you're supposed to take care of your elders and your older people, man, because they worked hard for you guys to have it easy, man, It's a little flight school for you, man. While you guys are out there flying high doing drugs, you could be flying high doing cool stuff.